You want to see what we're doing?
Can I hit it?
No. There's more to it than just hitting it. Hey guys, welcome to Lowry's Garage. Like and subscribe, man, and thank you to all the people who are viewing and subscribed to this channel and followed us here on there on Facebook. Wow. I can't even tell you how many new followers and friends we've got on Facebook and the YouTube channel. We've had 71 or 2, whatever it is, subscribers in the last 28 days. My mind is blown. I'm humbled. I cannot believe 510 subscribers that we have now, that there's 510 people who have subscribed here that actually want to hear what I have to say. You know, very humbling, guys, and I thank you. I thank each and every one of you. Now we're back on the D150, and I guess this is part 2.5 or part 3, we'll call it anyway. There's more stuff I'd like to go over before we start putting the rack in. I've had some guys asking with this radius arm kit I built, will it work with airbags? Well, now they got me thinking, will it work with airbags, and how much movement we can actually have. But before we get to that, the big question that we had from last video, the new kit weighed 15.6 pounds. We got all the parts off. The kit's in. The bars are in. And by the way, the bolt, when the bolt and everything's put in there, the bolt's at a 9-degree angle. It worked best for me. And the kit made it with the kit work better. So the plates are at a 9-degree angle too, from straight up and down. Look at the room. No more radius bar. And this big heavy cross member, well, hang on. Look at here, guys. Oh, where'd I get my hammer? Put my hammer. Look here, guys. No longer a part of this truck. And the weight, 34.6 pounds. 34.6 off of 15.6. 19 pounds, guys. 19 pounds off the front of the truck. Now I got to put a little 1x2 box tubing cross member across there. Might weigh a pound or 2, but 19 pounds off the front of the truck. That ain't counting the steering box that's going to leave, the drag length that's going to leave, you know, all that we're going to drop off here. Now this thing had power steering. I know that the box weighed like 38 pounds. I think this one weighs 18, this manual box. We got to weigh the drag length. I know that this rack is like 12, 13 pounds. Between that, the fiberglass hood, no inner fenders, cutting the fenders back using the aftermarket fenders, taking all the weight we could out of the core support and the fiberglass bumper. We're dropping weight in a hurry. I'm excited. I'm really excited, because every pound we take off the front of this truck is a pound we don't have to add to the back. Now, here's what I wanted to show you guys. Let me get some of this stuff out of my way. See if I can get this camera right where I want it. Now this bar has to pivot as it goes up. Ideally, if it would have been perfectly in line, it would not pivot, but it needs to pivot as it goes up. It's just nature of it. And where it pivots, it'll rotate on the heim. That's what they're made for. From ride height on this one, to full extension, sure I don't pinch my camera. The full extension, it rotates that much. Now what I've done is I adjusted my heim to where when it's full extension, couldn't stretch out anymore. This is kicked all the way this way. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pull this spring right here, and then we're going to see how far it will rotate from his point till this heim binds the other direction. That'll give us the amount of travel we can have. You know, that'll tell us if you have airbags how much up and down you could actually have. Let me pull this spring out, and then we will see how much we can go up with this. I'm kind of curious as exactly how far to go each direction. Plus, I need to get the spring out myself. I need to figure out where to put my bump stops. So if this thing ever comes off the ground and it slams back down, the bump stops keep it from crushing the shocks. All right, let me get after this, get this spring out. Now just take a second. Oh, close. No cigar. From right there, she's fully extended and the heim's kicked all the way over to the left, or the right side of the truck. All right, guys, we know that we're at full extension and the heim joint's kicked this way as far as it can. And right now, we're at 12.5 inches to the center of the center cap of the wheel. Let's see how far we can go up before we bind to the other direction. Not there yet. All right, we're not there yet. Let me get the camera here. The lower control arm is binding right here, and we've still not binding back there. Now let me feel under it. It's getting close. So we do know that it'll move quite a bit. Let me get a measurement on it. It was 12.5. Uh, 22.25, 10 inches, almost 10 inches, 9 3/4 up and down. So it's moving up and down that far. Now I know you guys, you can get, like I said, you can get high angle misaligned heims, which would even give you more. I don't, you know, and I don't know how far you guys are lifting your trucks and going up and down. You asked if it would work. I'm giving you what I can. Now me, I need to check my shocks and figure out where to put my bump stops. But that's not really what we're going to talk about for a little bit. Let's go over here to the board. You guys are probably wondering how I decided to get the rack that I'm going to use on this truck, and I'll go over that with you. All right, guys. Ideally, the way the front end set up is you have your spindles, you have your upper control arm, your lower control arm on each side, and for the upper to the lower mounts, there's an imaginary straight line you're always looking for. Now your drag link comes across somewhere like this, and your inner tie rod ends will connect here and here, and they go out to your outer tie rod end somewhere out here on each side. And in a perfect world, that is a straight line all the way across. Now when I was looking for my rack and pinion, I measured from where the inner tie rod end hooked on the drag link to where the inner tie rod end hooked on the other side of the drag link, and it ended up being 23 3/4. And I started looking for a rack and pinion closest I could find to that length. It was a manual rack. I ended up finding a Pinto rack that is 24 1/4, which is only a 1/2 inch off. Now, when you lower these trucks, one of the things we have problems with, and it messes with us so much, is the spindle moves up, these come up, the lower control arm comes up, the upper control arm comes up, in turn, the inner and outer tie rod end up running at an angle. That's why we always end up with bump steer. We end up having bump steer out of them. Now, there's ways to fix it. I've heard of guys taking a 7-degree reamer, reaming it, flipping their tie rod ends upside down in order to straighten this back out. Me, with putting a rack in that's a 1/2 inch longer, it's going to allow me I'll make a mess of that. It'll allow me to move my rack up just a little bit, as long as I got clearance on my oil pan, to where it's at that same point, imaginary line from here to here. That will keep me from having bump, and then if I can get to that, and then get a nice straight line out to out on each side from the rack and pinion that's in the middle, it should stop me from having bump steer. Now that's one of the reasons that I chose that particular rack, because it was as close to the drag link in length from inner tie rod end pivot to inner tie rod end pivot point. Now there's another thing to consider. Now this rack has got, oh, it's like 5.75 inches of travel. Now, if you measure on your drag link, and take a measurement off your cross member and mark your drag link, and then you turn with the wheel it all the way locked one way, and you turn it all the way locked to the other way, and then you measure from the mark on the drag link back to here, that'll tell you how many inches of travel the drag link has. You want to be as close to the same as you can possibly be, so you have the same turning radius. Now, 6.5 is what we found a Dodge has, and 5 3/4 is what this is. So I'm losing 3/8 of an inch each direction of turning radius to complete turn from lock to lock. Not a lot, but it will make a difference in the turning radius. Now, if you were one of the drift guys, you want to be able to go far as you can, far as much length as you can in that drag length, so you can get your wheels turned sharper. But I'm not a drift guy, and honestly, I probably never would be. I appreciate the sport, appreciate what they do. I can't afford tires like that. But that's how I picked out the rack and pinion. Now, the other rack and pinion I'm looking at to make a power rack and pinion kit out of, it has 6 inches, and the truck has 6.5, so you lose 1/4 of an inch on each side. You're never going to notice that 1/4 of an inch. It's just, when you're playing with this stuff, none of us guys have the money to re-engineer a complete front end. We're trying to get it as close as we can to being where it don't wear tires and it drives and it's safe. That's what we're trying to do. There's a lot more into the front suspension. You know, we already addressed the fact that with these bars, the caster is now adjustable. You may have to get offset bushings to get the upper control arm close enough so the tires don't wear funny. These are all ways of doing this. Now guys, I'm a mechanic, yes. I'm certified mechanic, but by no means am I an automotive engineer. And I'm not going to tell you that I am. I'm just telling you what I found that works. You know, there'll be another part of this where we actually start mounting the rack on here. And I can go more into detail on it. I'm just trying to help you guys out as much as I can. Like and subscribe, Lowry's Garage. Follow us on Facebook. And thank you guys so much. I'm so humbled by all of you. Have a good night, guys.